Tonight's show is going to be a little different than most. We have an incredible story about forgiveness that will move and inspire you. You'll never forget it. It's really powerful. That's coming up in a few minutes. We have an announcement on what we're going to be doing in Ohio coming up on the week of 9/12. But I want to start with another incredible story, a true story, but a remarkable one. It's been described as a fairy tale by some, proof positive that America is anything but what our president says it is. In fact, America is a place where anything is possible. It doesn't matter how different you might be. You might have heard this story before. A man with a kind of an exotic background and a funny-sounding name becomes the most powerful man on the planet, the leader of the free world, the president of the United States. But here's the ironic update to this story. The exotic man who defied all odds now says, you didn't build this. You didn't build this. And he came out this week and said, in America, you can only make it depending on what you look like or where you came from or what your last name is. And he wants to change that. Watch.
You know, I believe we have to go forward. I believe we've got to keep working to create an America where no matter who you are, no matter what you look like, no matter where you come from, no matter what your last name is, no matter who you love, you can make it here if you try.
Because that's not true. You can't make it, can you? You just can't make it. How does this guy say this with a straight face? I'm going to go out on a limb and say that when your home address is 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue, when you can go visit the alien at Roswell, in Area 51, whatever you want. When Air Force One is your main ride home. When they walk around with a little suitcase you could open up with a red button and you could push it when you want to. I don't know. I think you've made it, Mr. Man with a funny name. Here's what I want you to remember tonight. I want you to remember who we are. Who are we as a country? Are we the country that President Barack Obama sees us as, colonialists, oppressors of the world, that are still oppressing each other here in our own country based on bigotry, sexism, or racism? I don't believe we're those people. I do know that there are some racist or sexist or bigoted people here. Of course, there's a percentage, but that percentage is so small. They say between 3 and 5% of voters won't vote for Barack Obama because he's black. Well, I bet you can find 5% that won't vote for somebody else because they're white or Asian or whatever. It's crazy, but it's a small percentage. To give you some perspective on this, a couple of years ago, there was a poll out that showed 13% of Americans believed that the moon landing was staged. Do you know anybody like that? We're talking a very small number. 13%, that's double the number that are racist. 13% say we never actually walked on the moon. That was a Hollywood soundstage. Okay, I've never met those people before, the moon people. I've never met anybody who won't vote for somebody based on their skin color. If you want to point out bigotry, how about the 18% who won't vote for Mitt Romney because he's a Mormon? That's 25% of Democrats who won't vote for a Mormon. You want to kick down a wall? There's one, but you don't really hear Obama creating a world where there's a Mormon president, do you? I mean, purposefully. I think he's actually creating that world, but that's a different story. Racism? There is racism, but it's a minority, even of African Americans. With the Black Panthers are racist, but that's a small minority. The president is supporting the Black Panthers by dropping the voter intimidation case against them. And they're at it again. Now, and I want you to listen to this, watch out, the language is rough, they're calling for everybody to rise up and kill white people. Listen to this.
We're going to have to get out of these goddamn streets. And as I said on National Geographic, I said it, goddamn it, if you want to be free, you're going to have to get out here and kill some of these goddamn peckerwoods. You're going to have to kill some of these babies just born 3 seconds ago. You're going to have to go into the goddamn nursery and just throw a damn bomb in the that damn nursery and kill everything white in sight that ain't white.
So they're threatening violence now. And they're threatening violence in another statement from them yesterday, threatening violence at the RNC. You find all of the video and the audio at theblaze.com. But I digress, because I want to talk about what a great nation we are. And now people like that are in the minority. Can President Obama really believe that America is a place where you just can't make it if you're different, because you have a different funny-sounding name or you're a different color? Just in case he really, truly believes that, and he's living in that fictional world, I just want to give him a refresher on the best example that disproves his own theory. And it's one that he should be familiar with, his own life. I want to look at his own circumstances here, but don't take my word. Listen to his own words and decide once and for all, is America a land of opportunity for anyone who tries?
My mother and I jumped back with a start and saw a big hairy creature with a small flat head and long menacing arms drop into a low branch. "A monkey!" I shouted. Lolo drew a peanut from his pocket and handed it to the animal's grasping fingers. "His name is Tata," he said. "I brought him all the way from New Guinea for you." "Don't worry," Lolo said, handing Tata another peanut. "He's on a leash. Come, there's more." In the backyard, we found what seemed like a small zoo. Chickens and ducks running every which way, a big yellow dog with a baleful howl, 2 birds of paradise, a white cockatoo, and finally 2 baby crocodiles, half submerged in a fenced-off pond towards the edge of the compound.
Wow, there's a lot there. Okay. Do you know anybody who has an Indonesian stepdad named Lolo with a peanut in his pocket? No. Oh, wait, I have a peanut in my pocket, but my name's not Lolo. Do you know anybody who has a grandmother named Tutu? I don't. Ever come across an elected official named Lolo or Tutu? Or who's married, named Steve, but married to Lolo or Tutu, or has a Lolo or Tutu in there? I don't know. I don't know anybody. How about a Tata? Forget Lolo and Tutu. Let's go to Tata for a second. Got a peanut in your pocket? This was the monkey that he got in New Guinea, remember? And I don't want you to freak out because, thank you, he's on a leash, okay? We'll get to Tata here in a minute, all right? You ever meet a Tutu or a Lolo or a Tata? Have you? No. But he also said he had kind of a small zoo for a backyard, filled with ducks and chickens, dogs. Okay, let's stop there for a second. I think there's a lot of people that could relate to, the chickens and the ducks and the dogs. But he goes on. He says he's got birds of paradise. Well, let me tell you something. They're so rare you can't even get them in the United States. And he's got a white cockatoo. The only one I knew as a kid growing up that had a cockatoo was Beretta. And he was on TV. So exotic? Sure. Yes. You think so? Have you ever known or met any person or anyone who had any of these things? Ow. Ow. He's on a leash, but he still bites. You want to come get him? Oh, no. All of these things go, he's just freaking out. First time on TV. He had all of these things. I know Michael Jackson had a pet monkey. Do you know anybody else that had a pet monkey? Especially a pet monkey from your stepdad named Lolo who had a peanut in his pocket. Oh, and wait a minute. And then there's also the crocodiles. He had crocodiles. Crocodiles are... do you know anybody with crocodiles? I don't. Oh, we got crocodiles here. You know how hard it was to find crocodiles? You have to have a federal permit. So, do you know anybody who had all of these things as a kid? We had to find the crocodiles at Animal World and Snake Farm Zoo here in Texas, okay? That's pretty tough. We had to go to a zoo to get the crocodiles. He had one growing up. He had 2. And Lolo with a peanut in his pocket. Now, I know Mike Tyson had a pet tiger, but I'm not sure that we should say the guy who's the Jesus Juice guy or the ear-biting rapist guy is the way to prove that you're in the mainstream of society. But those are the only ones that I know that had a monkey or exotic animals like that. So so. That upbringing sounds more like an A&E reality show than a presidential breeding ground. But despite all of this, he became president of the United States. So, Mr. President, I mean, I could stop there. And I think everybody would say, you know what, you're pretty exotic, and we didn't have a problem with it. But, believe it or not, we elected you when you didn't have a normal life. Have I mentioned Lolo, Tutu, Tata, the peanut in the pocket? I could stop there, but there's actually more. Watch.
There, standing astride the road, was a towering giant at least 10 stories tall, with the body of a man and the face of an ape. That's Hanuman, Lolo said as we circled the statue, the monkey god. I turned around in my seat, mesmerized by the solitary figure, so dark against the sun, poised to leap into the sky as puny traffic swirled around its feet. He's a great warrior, Lolo said firmly, strong as 100 men. When he fights the demons, he's never defeated.
Hanuman. Ooh. So, we have Lolo, we have Tutu, we have Tata, the peanut in the pocket, the birds of paradise, the crocodiles, and the monkey god. I mean, 18% of Americans don't want to elect a Mormon, but the kid who grew up worshiping Hanuman, the demon-fighting monkey god, is our president. Wow. We really are bigoted, aren't we? Monkey god. It's a pretty incredible American success story, unlike any other success story I've ever heard. And I could stop there, and I think you'd even be more impressed than you were when I showed you the alligators, the crocodiles, the cockatoo, and everything else. The chickens, the ducks, we all had those, chickens and ducks. If you grew up when I grew up, you had chickens and ducks, and you had a dog. But why have a dog? Why just have a dog when you can eat a dog?
And away from the dinner table, I was introduced to dog meat, tough, snake meat, tougher, and roasted grasshopper, crunchy.
Have you had any of those? Have you eaten dog? Or snake meat or grasshopper? I mean, one thing we can all unite on is a dog. He had a dog. I had a dog. There, let's leave it at that. No. He had to let us know that he had a dog and he ate it. I don't know if he was in the shadow of the monkey god while he did it. If we can elect a guy who ate Lassie, has a pet monkey, Tutu, Lolo, 2 crocodiles, and worship the monkey god for a while, I think we're pretty open-minded. What do you think? I think we're open-minded to people who are a little different than most of us. But wait, there's more. You haven't even begun to meet the rest of the family. His real mother was a socialist during the Cold War. His real dad was a communist during the Cold War, but not just any communist, a communist from Kenya. When his father beat it and went back to Africa, his childhood mentor was a notorious communist, but not just any notorious communist that could be picked up by the FBI at any time. He was also a communist, erotic, hardcore porn novel writer and poet named Frank Marshall Davis. Do you know anybody who has that? But wait, he also has the stepbrother, George, who's currently living in a hut in Africa in total squalor. His sister is an illegal immigrant who lives in Boston and in poverty. And how about his friends? Well, he and his friends formed something called the Choom Gang. That's a group of kids that smoke pot, talked about Marxist principles, and just raged, kind of like you, about the stifling constraints of the bourgeois society. And, of course, there were his imaginary composite girlfriends that he later wrote about in his book. And did I mention that he's not black, he's not white, he's black and white? I mean, wow, are the cards stacked against this guy? An Indonesian stepdad named Lolo, grandma named Tutu, a pet monkey named Tata, Hanuman, the demon-fighting monkey god. Mom's a socialist, dad's a Kenyan communist mentor. He's also a communist mentor, porn writer. Impoverished brother, illegal immigrant sister, part of a druggie gang with a crappy name, and psychotically creating fictional girlfriends in his spare time. And his stepfather had a peanut in his pocket for the monkey on a leash, and he's still